gosh.
My patient that I'm seeing today, her name is Akila. It looks like that she underwent a surgical procedure and had a skin graft, but the skin graft didn't go quite as she wanted to go.
We're talking about feet in this episode, and skin grafts on the feet are pretty unusual to my knowledge. Now, as a plastic surgeon, I've done a lot of skin grafts. That's a very basic way that we do reconstruction in reconstructive surgery. The problem with skin grafts is you have to place them on the area to heal, and you have to let them grow into place. And something as little as brushing against it can pull a skin graft off and can cause it not to survive. Well, the feet move a lot, and that's why I'm surprised that she may have a skin graft on her foot.
It's very shocking. It's kind of an unresolved mystery. I need to figure out what on earth this could be.
What is that? I have never seen a foot like this before. Now, if you have watched some of my other reactions to My Feet Are Killing Me, you know that I am not a foot person, and this type of stuff totally weirds me out. So let's watch further.
On the bottom of my foot, there looks like a crater, and it's really painful. They feel like you're walking on needles or tiny rocks. Every doctor I saw, they hacked more and more at my foot, trying to find answers. Everybody gives up.
That poor woman, it seems like there are doctors who she sees and they basically just whittle off tissue, probably send it to a pathologist. They don't get an answer, and then she goes to another doctor and they do the same thing, leaving her with this huge crater on the bottom of her foot. But what is all that dark stuff in the center of the crater? This is definitely not something I have ever seen before.
It just says callus. I'm hoping Dr. Ebony can help us figure out what this is, and really, really, really hope there is some type of diagnosis for this.
A plantar callus is basically a thickening of the skin at the bottom of the foot. And this happens in a lot of people. If you're wearing shoes that maybe don't quite fit all that well, you can get rubbing and that skin can get thicker and thicker and thicker. And sometimes it can cause discomfort. But a callus does not look like that foot that we saw just a minute or two ago.
How's the foot doing? Have you been in pain a lot lately?
Oh, this morning, killing me.
But you're still in pain?
Yeah. When our feet sweat, the smell is, it's like peanut butter.
I love peanut butter, but I don't like feet that smell like peanut butter. What is going on here?
Do you remember when this first showed up?
For me, it was like age 7.
And you have something similar.
Growing up, we are always told that there was a curse on our feet.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
So she started getting whatever's going on with her foot when she was really young, at the age of 7, and it sounds like this is something that runs in her family. What could that be? Now, one of the things, if you looked at that photo of the bottom of her foot, is that this could be, let's say, plantar warts. That's a pretty common condition. When I was in high school and I had to take showers with all the other high school boys in gym class, I got plantar warts afterwards. And you can treat this in many different ways. I actually had to have mine freaking burned off. And that really, honestly, it sucked. So what's going on with her foot? Let's find out. I don't think it's plantar warts. I think this is something very different.
Well, let's see how your feet are.
Okay. Okay.
Oh my gosh. My first inclination looking at her foot is that you can see all of kind of that keratin, that dead skin, thick skin on the outside of that huge dark center. My question is what is in that dark center?
You just look at something and you're trying to figure out exactly what you're seeing. It's just kind of frozen.
Now, she did have a skin graft, and it's possible that she had a skin graft placed on the bottom of her foot. So is this a remnant of that old skin graft that maybe didn't heal right? The key would be basically to take a scraping of it, take a biopsy, and send it out. Now, the problem is that she has said that this is what other doctors have done, and they've always just come back with callus. So how do you treat plantar callus? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You treat it by moisturizing the foot, soaking it in water, and then filing down any calloused areas that you want to get rid of. So why is that center so dark? Is it possible that it's necrotic? Usually when we see dark tissue like this, it means that there's not good blood supply and that tissue is essentially dead. If I were to have a patient who, let's say, had a tummy tuck and she came back 6 months later with this type of tissue in the middle of her tummy, then I would consider that to be dead tissue and most likely want to cut that off. Are you looking for radiant, glowing skin? Look no further than the Youn Beauty 2 Minutes 5 Years Younger Skincare System. Whether you're looking to reduce the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, brighten your complexion, or simply maintain healthy, youthful-looking skin, my Youn Beauty products are here to help. Do you believe you can look upwards of 5 years younger in just 2 minutes a day? It's true. Check out our online store at younbeauty.com or download the Youn Beauty app on your phone to order yours today.
I want to get a shave biopsy, see if there's anything that I can detect from that.
Okay.
A shave biopsy is where you take a scalpel and basically you just shave off tissue from the superficial surface. This can be helpful if you're doing certain types of biopsies, but other types of biopsies, a shave biopsy isn't as good. Sometimes we want to get the entire thickness of the skin because we want to see just how deep that lesion goes. This can be especially important if you're dealing with lesions that you're worried about skin cancer. In those situations, sometimes a shave biopsy is actually a bad idea because you want to see how deep it goes to see how extensive that cancer might be.
I am going to take a little bit of this and send to the pathologist. How's that? Oh, how much pain is it on a scale of 1 to 10?
It's above 10.
That hyperkeratotic skin that she's scraping off most likely doesn't hurt because that tissue doesn't necessarily have nerves that are going into it, supplying it. But when you get past that and the skin starts to bleed, then most likely she'll feel it. My assumption is that dark tissue that's sitting in the middle, that tissue in and of itself doesn't hurt. If you were to poke it with a pin, she probably wouldn't feel it at all. But there is tissue that's alive below it, and probably because it's so hard, when she stands on it, it hurts. It's kind of like if you step on a Lego, you're stepping on something that's hard, that maybe has an uneven surface, and that can really, really hurt.
I'm going to just get a biopsy of his feet as well. Okay, so I am going to take a little bit of this and send to the pathologist for you.
Okay.
So now it's going to come down to what does the pathologist find when they look at this tissue under a microscope. This type of thing can take several days up to a week to come back. And this will be very interesting. Do they have a familial, basically a hereditary type of problem in both of their feet that they may even pass off onto their children?
Unfortunately, guys, the biopsy didn't reveal any type of fungus. All it says is this like keratin, and keratin is just skin.
So she basically got the same result as her other doctors. It's keratin. Keratin basically is what the upper layer of skin is made out of. And the diagnosis hyperkeratosis basically is excess keratin basically building up on the surface of the skin. And this is something you can see on the bottoms of feet that she apparently has here. The problem is that just means it's thick skin and there's nothing else there. So what happened to her foot?
Unfortunately, the biopsies are normal. They just say that they have excessive hyperkeratotic skin.
Well, that's unsatisfying.
Essentially, what I think you guys both have is Unna-Thost disease.
Okay.
It's genetic. It's definitely associated with a mutation in one of the genes.
So as a plastic surgeon, I have never heard of Unna-Thost disease, but I went ahead and Googled it, and let me tell you what it is. Unna-Thost palmar-plantar keratoderma is a type of keratoderma that mostly affects the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. It usually begins in early childhood, which makes sense because hers developed at the age of 7. The palms and the soles gradually become thicker and develop a yellowish, waxy appearance. Increased sweating, which is otherwise known as hyperhidrosis, is quite common, and there is a tendency to fungal and bacterial infections of the feet. And that may be why her feet smell sometimes like peanut butter.
Jif peanut butter. It's that jiffing good. Ludacris changed his flow for it.
Because maybe she's gotten some minor infections of that area causing it to smell like peanut butter. This condition usually does not extend beyond the hands and feet, which is good, and it is inherited in an autosomal dominant fashion. That means that if one of your parents has it and they pass it off onto you, you will get it too.
Unfortunately, a solution hasn't been definitively found. So between topicals, orals, potential for surgery, I'll be with you every step of the way.
Well, what a nice doctor. The fact that she's going to help her, I think that's the most important thing. So what do you do with the rest of her foot? Well, my guess once again is she has some necrotic kind of dead tissue sitting in the center of that huge crater. Underneath that's going to be healthy tissue. And my guess is that they will basically moisturize the feet, soften all that tissue up, really moisturize her feet, and then gradually remove kind of those layers of excess keratin that have built up with time. My guess is that this could take many, many months, but after gradually removing that keratin, that excess skin, you should be able to eventually smooth the foot, get rid of that central necrotic debris, and hopefully get her feet looking and feeling much, much better for her. While this was definitely a problem for this young woman, I do commend her for seeing multiple doctors and not quitting until she found one that could definitely help her. That is not always the case with feet. Take a peek at this video right up here where a guy did not cut his nails for years. Literally years. You will not believe the shape his feet were in. If this shocked you, take a peek at this video and you will be blown away. And remember, eat real food, use clean skincare, and autojuvenate before you operate.